You need to make sure that you can run the tournament and that it's sustainable for your federation or your company that is organizing this, that you don't go out of it with a big loss. 800 accreditations last year. Deduct, of course, the players and the coaches. We're talking about 300. That means we are talking about 500 people that are somehow involved in the tournament. So TV doesn't want to come and broadcast badminton for free to put it on national TV because nobody's interested in watching it or not enough people are interested in watching it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Average Not Average podcast. Today is a special one. I'm Viktor.
I'm CK, and today we are joined by Tamara Geeraerts, tournament director of a BWF World Tour tournament. She's someone who has spent a lot of years bringing some of Europe's biggest badminton tournaments to life, and she's currently the managing director of VBD, the company that organizes the Yonex German Open, as well as being tournament director. She has also worked at Badminton Europe for more than 5 years as an event manager, and is also the tournament director for badminton at the recent FISU World University Games.
Players,
Correct.
we obviously experience the events from one perspective, but there's an enormous amount happening behind the scenes that players or fans never really get to see. So I'm excited to see a different perspective today, especially from someone who really understands what it takes to run a professional badminton tournament at the highest level.
Yep, and today we're going to dive deep into the world of badminton, event organization and management, and learn what really goes into making a large-scale event like these happen, preparing for a whole year to run a one-week event. This is going to get interesting. Welcome to the podcast, Tamara. How are you doing today?
Thanks for the invite, CK and Viktor. I'm very happy to be here. It's a unique experience for me as well. I'm usually the one behind the camera, like behind the scenes, not in front of it. But I agree that this is an important part, actually, maybe to highlight for once to the badminton world what it takes to host such a tournament. So I'm happy to be here. And yeah, it's been a busy day for me already. It's a holiday actually in Germany right now. But yeah, I'm currently prepping actually my 5-year-old birthday party today. So it's been busy.
We appreciate you taking time on such a busy day, and happy birthday to your daughters as well.
Thank you. I will tell her later.
Yeah.
I mean, Tamara has actually told me before what the theme of the birthday party is. I'm actually really jealous. Like, there's a cake going around that looks absolutely amazing. I think, yeah. I mean,
Awesome.
It's a toothless themed, right? Like the how to take care of a dragon. So yeah.
Yeah, my daughter is an absolute fan of how to train your dragon, and mainly actually about the white dragon. So yeah, the cake is of course in completely in theme, and I'm also having to blow up some balloons later with dragons on them. So it's gonna be fun.
That's awesome.
We might actually need a photo of this as like the thumbnail.
That I can manage, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so I mean, we know that you have a super busy day today, so we will quickly jump straight in. So you're Belgian, living in Germany, speaks absolutely fluent German. I'm assuming Flemish. I've also heard you do French and now also English. What else do you not speak?
Well, I actually also speak Danish.
Okay.
Because I live 5 years in Denmark and I have a Danish boyfriend. So our household is multilingual. My daughter also understands 4 languages at age 5. So it's quite fun to see and quite fun to do.
I think we should just have done the podcast without CK then, Tamara. We don't need him. We could have done a Danish podcast.
Well, maybe not, because with speaking so much German lately, I have to say that my Danish is becoming very, very difficult not to get some German words in there. But yeah, I mean, I hear Danish on a daily basis. My boyfriend speaks Danish to our daughter, so it's a one thing that I definitely have no issue understanding.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, this is also a good opportunity to catch up on some words, Danish ones, where you can slide in, occasionally, Viktor, you can slide it in.
For sure, we can do that.
Yeah. So I think just quickly, if you can, Tamara, can you sum up your role as a tournament director / organizer for a World Tour tournament? In one sentence, would you be able to do that?
In one sentence, basically, it's everything. I think the sentence is you have to think of everything to have a successful tournament from start to finish, before, during, and after.
and taking a whole year, and a team of people with you full time to prepare for something like this. And I think when you say thinking about everything, I think for the fans' perspective, okay, so here we're going to go, okay, everything that you see in the hall is specifically designed and put in place for that, and you have to say go and find all the vendors, all the sponsors and stuff like that to put that there. You have to organize the teams coming in, build it up, make sure it works okay, works safe, and then take it away on time before you do that. And from the players and teams' perspective, you also have to organize hotels and stuff like that, transportation for them, correct?
Yes, correct. So it goes literally about everything. If you're a spectator in the venue, everything that you see during such an event, or that you want to do alongside the event of extra activities or something in the venue, has been thought out, prepared, and we had to make sure that everything runs smoothly. For the players, it's the same. So by the time that they arrive, we had to make sure that there is a hotel for them to stay in, that they have a bus that they can take from the airport, that somehow we have their details also to take them to the hotel. So it's about accreditations. It's about everything basically, that they have food and water, that there is internet, that we can do the live stream, the live score. Yeah, you name it. It all needs to be thought of and arranged.
So for you, like, is there anything from like BWF who comes in and makes sure that everything is taken care of, or is the responsibility basically just up to you? Like every given tournament, it's not like there's not one team that gets sent out and then make sure everything is taken care of, right? Because if you look at other sports like Formula One and stuff, it's like basically the same people traveling around, and obviously it's completely different in badminton. Just to understand how it all works.
Well, we do have always someone from BWF attending the whole tournament. So they have this event team in BWF who they will appoint someone who's responsible for your specific tournament, and they will start following up with you from the start to the finish. But they will not follow up on the organization as such. What they do is make sure that everything that BWF has an influence on or a right to, that is actually adhered to. So they will check all your graphics. So from the poster and the flyer to how the tickets and the accreditations look, and make sure that it's all in the correct terms of how BWF wants it to be. Because of course BWF has sponsors too, has their own logo and how they want things to look like, and they want it to look similar across the different World Tour tournaments, which also makes sense. So they just actually check on those kind of things. They also check that the venue, how it looks, the field of play, that it's according to the regulations. But they will, for example, not start helping you or remind you that you need to book a bus for transport or something. They will ask if they can get transport, but they will not tell you how to do it or have a manual of how you can arrange these kind of things. So that is something you have to figure out yourself. And basically they will maybe ask did you think of this already, or have you done that already? If you haven't sent anything from your own side already. But besides that, it's all on the local hosts to actually arrange everything.
Okay, yeah, so they don't have any people on the ground per se, yeah?
They have one person. So this one person is mainly there to check again if everything is in order, but not really to help you organize the things. You can ask questions, but yeah, they're basically just there to supervise.
It's a lot of manpower you need to find and make sure that people are doing the right things. Huh?
Exactly. So I think besides a core team really that helps you with also in advance with organizing everything and preparing everything, you definitely also need a lot of helping hands. So a lot of volunteers. For German Open alone, we're talking about 150 pure volunteers that come from our local club there. And that is not even taking into account, as I said, the core team that is doing this for a longer time than just the tournament itself.
Yeah, I was in Odense visiting a few weeks ago, where I did an appearance, an interview on stage in front of all the Volunteers for Denmark Open. That's something that you tend to forget as a player, how many people, of course including yourself, but how many volunteers there's actually spending. It can be vacation time, it can be time off just to come and help. So the least we can do as players is at least remember to say hi. Or yeah, it was a great experience for me to give back in that sense, to go there and say hi to them, because otherwise you just forget, right? And without them, there wouldn't be any tournaments.
I totally agree. And honestly, Viktor, I think you're one of the few actually that really take this into consideration when you're at a tournament in the past. Like you always made time for the people there and to do something, to do autographs or to take a picture with them or anything. Sadly, not everybody is like that. Of course, I also totally understand it. They have this as a profession, as a player. They need to concentrate. They need to focus on their next game. They don't want to spend half an hour taking pictures with volunteers if they need to stretch or if they need to get a massage or just rest, basically. So it's totally understandable, but it's a very nice thing to have as a volunteer, that they can just have this like 2 minutes of like, wow. And it motivates them also just to be there again next year.
Yeah, because I know for a fact, of course, many of the volunteers, the reason why they do it is because also they can get close to their idols, or, it's a great experience. They can see the sport very close. And so, yeah, it's really something that you need to remember, because, would you do it yourself? That's the question, spend time away from your family and stuff like that to go help at a tournament. And then if the players can't even say hi and thanks, it's it's something you need to think about.
Yeah. We also have a lot of kits actually in our tournament. So we use mopper kits that the line judges don't have to mop the courts.
Yeah.
The kits itself are all badminton players. They love to do this. They are very close to the players, very close to the matches. But they literally get like letters from our side that they can take that time off of school, so they can be there during the week, during the matches itself. And those are the volunteers that we then gain later onwards when they become adults, that do the other tasks that we also very hardly need. So it's all in total like a package that you need to make sure that you keep the people motivated to help you out in their own free time.
And just in terms of raw numbers, I think just for people just to get a taste, I think you mentioned earlier on 150 volunteers, and then you still have your team of core staff, and then plus you then have a huge, I guess, bank of vendors or suppliers coming in, with the screens, the mats, and also like with sponsors like Yonex, where they come in and help set up the hall, the main playing surface, also like potentially practice halls, nets, and so on and so forth. So what are the raw numbers? So in terms of personnel, because we're going to go to numbers as in how many people do you need on the top of your head, including volunteers, to run a tournament like this for the whole year? And then also obviously the cost of it all. Like, I think people don't understand everything costs money. To get volunteers in, you have to pay for them the stay for the whole 8 to 10 days. Yeah, so how many people on average? So the German Open this year is a Super 300. Next year is going to be a 500. But for the last few years, what are your average numbers in terms of people?
Well, I can tell you in general, you can actually count this very easily by looking at the number of accreditations that you need. So we had in total 800 accreditations last year, roughly. From those 800, you have to deduct, of course, the players and the coaches, because I will not count those. But then we're talking about 300 players and coaches together. That means we are talking about 500 people that need an accreditation, that are somehow involved in the tournament. And this goes indeed from the 150 volunteers to, not to forget, all the technical officials, the line judges, the umpires that are also there, the referees. Then you have all the people from BWF that are coming, our freelancers, timing and scoring and things like that. Hawkeye is also always there. We need the live score and stuff like that, that needs to operate. Then you have all the press people that are also there. Don't forget them. Also very important, CK, you know that as well.
Me.
Yeah. And the sponsors, of course, all the sponsors who need access to the venue. So I'm not talking about VIPs here. VIPs do not have an accreditation. I'm mainly talking about everybody who has a certain role at the tournament to make sure that it becomes a success.
Okay, 500.
Yeah.
Where do you house them? Yeah, like in terms of accommodation bill, your accommodation bill must be huge.
Well, actually, because we use the local club to provide us with the volunteers, actually none of the volunteers need a hotel because they're all locals. They all come from
home.
They can go home. The people we house are the people, of course, who come from further away, and Germany is big, so that's still like quite a lot of Germans that we need to house. But besides that, also the internationals, of course, that are coming. So I'm talking about all the umpires and the line judges again. There's a lot of them who are international. So yeah, we host those all in hotels, of course.
So you're responsible for hosting the umpires who are coming from. Okay, wow! I thought that it was BWF who took care of that.
No, so the only thing BWF does is saying, here is 4 umpires from BWF side. You need to house them and you need to pay their daily allowance and food.
Okay.
So they just say these 4 are coming, and they are paying their flights. And that is it. And besides those 4, all the line judges, so we're talking again about like in the 30 people something, all the umpires, besides those 4, we need to find. So we need to send out an invitation to neighboring countries and find, of course, in Germany itself also umpires, but we can't only take Germans. That would not be good for the games as well. We need that neutrality too. So we just ask who is available, and those umpires and line judges, most of them all have a normal day job. They also take holidays to come there. They might be lucky and have a federation that pays for their travel costs, but if not, they have to pay it themselves. And we then pay for their hotel costs, foods and drinks, daily allowance, those things.
Wow. So how much does it add up, like, to run a tournament? So excluding the prize money, because obviously in regulations are changing. So in 2026 previously, you also are responsible for the prize money. So depending on the level, so as a fan, I guess they only understand Super 1000 pays, the whole tournament pays $1 million plus, and then 750 there's a cutoff. For a 300, is that $250K US dollars?
This year it was 250K that we had. So that is, of course, the biggest cost that we have. Luckily, BWF also provides you in 26 and the years before with like a minimal guarantee of money that they get in from the broadcasting and from sponsor sales that they have, but it doesn't cover the amount of prize money at all. But in total, we have like a total budget around 670,000 K. So
okay.
670,000
US dollars.
Euros.
Okay.
If you take away the prize money, we're talking about over 400K still, that we are talking about a budget that we need to somehow find.
Okay. And so this is also, again, down to you, tournament director, obviously managing director of the company that runs the event, to go and find this. And this is every year? I'm assuming you have to do this every single year?
Yeah, so I think the first task, if you're talking about what is the first thing you do, is make a budget. You need to make sure that you can run the tournament and that it's sustainable for your federation or your company that is organizing this, that you don't go out of it with a big loss. That is the main goal that I have actually as a tournament director, and to keep the overview, because we might have a lot of people doing different things, like hotels or transport, for example. I'm not the one doing that specifically, but I need to make sure that when they book hotels or if they rent the buses, that they're not going over the budget so that I don't have a debt in the end. And yeah, the sponsors is totally on me, of course, to find them, to make sure we get the money in, to send the invoices, to make sure that whatever they want in return, that they also get this, and that they hopefully even feel that they get even more so that they come back next year, because usually those sponsors only sign for 1 year. It's rare that you have a sponsor who signs for multiple years. We are quite lucky with that we have Yonex as a main sponsor for the German Open, who signs a contract for 4 years for the whole cycle of the World Tour. But right now, for 27, for example, I am in discussion with Yonex to see what we can do for the next 4 years.
But Tamara, now that you're wearing a Yonex shirt, with the amount of viewers we have on this podcast, that sponsorship will be a done deal.
Very good. I will take this with me in my next negotiation.
Yes, please do that.
Clip this 30 seconds bit, and then put your face on at the front as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
Absolutely.
But I think, German Open, like, for how many years had Yonex been taking, been the title sponsor for that almost? It's been so many years.
thing they've never had another title sponsor.
Exactly.
So it's also something that kind of was founded from Yonex out. So like Yonex was the one who wanted this kind of tournament in Germany. Yonex Europe is also located in Germany. So
Yeah, exactly.
they're basically 30 minutes away from the venue where we do it in Mülheim every year. So it is for them also one of their main tournaments to have. It's also at the beginning of the year. It's good for them for their collection that they can showcase this one from the beginning of the year internationally. So this is basically in their backyard. It's not something that I assume will ever change. Honestly, it's also very good to work with them if they are so easy to go with because they are so close by.
Yeah. Also, I think you can see, even though my collection, it was when it first launched, I still played in the German Open, the 1 week ahead of All England. So I think for Yonex, it's also an important tournament in many regards. So
it's the first one in this first World Tour event in Europe at the start of the whole season, and so I think it has a crucial place in the calendar, and then also like it's the one before the All England. So I think a lot of the big stars really want to come, especially from Asia. You have that what to call the jet lag, the time differences, and they want to get used to the European time zone before going in for the big one at the All England. Moving forward to 27. So you're jumping one level up. What is the difference between a 300 and a 500 besides the prize money doubling?
Well, there is quite a difference between a 300 and a 500 from organization perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the moment where BWF takes actually more control over the things that they want to have from your tournament. I have the feeling that BWF thinks that a 300 is not that interesting yet commercially. But from a 500 onwards, so the 500, 750, and the 1000, of course, they really want like a big part of the number of A boards, for example. For a 300, they don't really have any A boards. You can give them if you want to, but actually as a 300, you can sell them as much as you want. For a 500, I need to give them 8 A boards per court that they can then use for their sponsors or their own logo or activities that they do. And it also means that they also want more VIP tickets. They want more tickets in general. They want to be more prominently visible on all the graphics and all of that. So from that moment onwards, you really need to look in how you want to gain your sponsors, because what you can sell now for sponsoring is limited based on what BWF is already taking. Plus, if they want a number of free tickets that is relatively high, that's also an income that you're losing as an organizer.
Do you still get, like, in terms of the help or the funding for some of the prize money? Is that still the same percentage, or do they cover then more of the prize money?
No, so next year, actually, it's going to change completely how they do it financially. BWF has taken over the prize money completely for every tournament.
Very good.
They will pay it for everybody, but in return, you also don't get any more money from them. So anything that we got before from the minimal guarantee will be kept by BWF. Fair enough, they're paying the prize money, so I think that's also okay. But it also means that we now have a sanction fee that is 3 times as high that we need to pay to BWF to host the tournament. And I'm saying 3 times is actually almost 4 times as high that we have to pay now. So that
is
amount,
there a ballpark figure that you can give us? Is it like 100,000 or is it 50,000 or is it 10,000?
It's different for every level. So if we would have stayed a 300 tournament, last year we had to pay 25k as a sanction fee, and we would have to pay next year 89k. To host the tournament itself. So they just upped that completely to get some money in, I guess, also to pay the prize money.
What about then the setup for the empires and stuff like that? Will that change or will that be the same?
That will all be the same. So besides that, actually not much changes as far as I know for the next cycle. So just the financial calculation is different. But we still have to pay more than what we would have to have paid like before. So if you make the full ballpark picture with the prize money, the minimal guarantee, the sanction fee, and every cost that you have, it would become about 50k more expensive for a 300 tournament compared 26 to 27. That's also because they are adding up the requirements that we have to put down For a 300 tournament, you go from 2 days of TV production to 3 days of TV production. And TV production is also very expensive if you are not lucky to get that for free from a host broadcaster. And sadly, in most countries in Europe, that is not the case. You have to pay for it completely. Now for a 500, we will have to go up to 5 days of TV broadcast. So that is, I think, the biggest cost that we have in addition, besides the fact that the venue, like the field of play, how it looks and how it feels, needs to also change for a 500. So we will actually go to 3 courts for German Open. That is
Normally it's 4.
Now it's 4, so that we have more room, so we can do the setup a bit more nicely with the A boards a bit bigger and a bit better placed, and that we don't have to cramp everything in the middle of the venue.
Yeah, and I think just to let everybody understand a little bit more what A boards, what Tamara meant by A boards, it's the little advertising boards that you see all around the court. So at every single court that you watch now, no matter which tournament, you will see advertising locally at each tournament. I think some tournaments you will also notice that there's now digital A boards. I believe Germany, for the German Open and also the Halle Open, which is also based in Germany, are the only 2 tournaments that do digital A boards outside of the Super 1000 level. And actually both of you guys are 300s and 500s. So, and you guys pay for that on your own, the digital A boards?
Completely. Also, it's not just the A board itself; it's also the graphics that need to be made for it, the videos and the designs of the logos for all the sponsors and stuff like that. Also takes some time and effort to make this like look nice. And I think it's a very important side from our side that we have these digital A boards, these LEDs, because it makes everything look so much nicer and professional. The German Open is a tournament that relies heavily on the spectators that we have in the venue when it comes to income. We are usually sold out in the weekend where we have semi-final and final, and that ticket sales income is one of the major posts where we get the money from. So we also want to have a great experience for those spectators. They need to want to come back. They need to have this feeling of, wow, this was amazing and I want to do this more. Because otherwise we would not have this effect. So we actually invest quite a lot of money also back into having that experience being absolutely great for those spectators.
Yeah. So Viktor, having you and looking you in the final was great, huh? In 2025.
Yeah,
That's good. Yeah. I'm actually every time I went to play German Open, I always enjoyed it a lot. But that's one of the things I love about this podcast is that we get to hear the stories from people like yourself, Tamara. That to me, I'm just sitting thinking, but I simply don't understand from a BWS perspective. You know, instead, it's fine that we get with the prize money, but forget about the players for once. When you hear the stories from all the people who are working around the sport, be it people like Tamara, the volunteers, the line judges, the everything, why don't they focus on investing more and making sure that those people are happy, motivated, and they're taken good care of? Because in my point of view, they're not taken good care of at this point of view well enough compared to how big the sport is, I would much rather, before more prize money and stuff like that, like pay the people more who are working around the tournaments to make sure that and invest more in the tournaments. I've said that on other episodes as well, and I know from next year it's going to change and stuff like that, but I would love to see a way more, and maybe next year I will take my words back in and say, wow, we really did a good thing, but
well, the thing is that BWF is definitely trying to make the tournaments better. I can't see that they don't, but they don't see it as their responsibility. Like the only thing that they do is up the requirements, make them higher, and that we have to deliver more and do things better. And they are also supervising that, of course, but they are not actively doing anything to make sure that it happens, or how to happen. Like it's basically just putting it in the contract, in the regulations, and we just have to find a way, if we want to host a tournament, how to achieve this.
That's what I mean. That the product they're selling is the events, like one of the, and of course the broadcasting and everything. But that needs to be that the events are good and that there actually is very, very high quality match game. Of course, the players and everything is very important that we perform as well. That's all fine and good. But if we don't have a platform to do it, and that relies on you. You know, people like yourself, and that's why we need to take very good care of you. Because but I don't understand it, CK. Maybe you can tell me something so I can get more clever. But why isn't there a bigger lump sum of whatever sponsorships and stuff like that goes to all the people around the events?
So I think Tamara probably will have a better perspective on this because you're in it firsthand. But from me sitting quite far away looking in, it's probably because European tournaments need a little bit more help than I would say Asia, because generally the sport is a little bit more popular in Asia, but also costs are significantly lower in Asia. And whilst there's this equality thing going on, where I cannot give developed countries more money in terms of support, that means they cap it at the same level for everybody. So for example, and hence the prize money thing. So if you're a 500, you get the prize money. Obviously everybody pays the same sanction fees. But in terms of home costs, which are non-movable, so for example, accommodation costs, travel costs, flying technical people, flying vendors in, for the same piece of product, so for example, I'm assuming renting the A boards are exactly the same. In Europe, you might be looking at, I don't know, 10,000 euros for one piece, whereas say in Malaysia or Indonesia, I would say I'm gonna say it'll be less. It'll be less. And I think all these add up like across the whole list. And I think that's why European tournaments without full state backing is difficult. And I think that this is exactly how I think I see it. It's just a cost difference, and they just add up over time, and it just gets scary for European tournaments. Tamara, is that correct?
I think the main issue is indeed the difference between the countries in Asia who are hosting a tournament and everybody around Asia. So it's not just Europe, it's also Oceania or America or Africa for sure, where we don't even have a World Tour tournament. So it's very easy to find like cities in Asia or governments or sponsors even that want to support badminton because the badminton sport is so big there and they have so many people there who love badminton. In Europe, that's a lot smaller. In most countries, almost non-existent. So you don't really easily get sponsors in from companies that are not badminton related because they're like, why? And the only country or the only sponsors that you can get in are the ones who are interested in getting into the Asian market. But also those are quite limited, the number of companies in Europe that really want to expand to Asia. So that means that it's very difficult for us to get money in. And that also means that the government or anything else, it all costs money. So TV doesn't want to come and broadcast badminton for free to put it on national TV because nobody's interested in watching it or not enough people are interested in watching it. They will just take football or cycling instead of badminton. So it's more difficult for us to make it work financially, I think, than in Asia to get that money together to host this tournament.
Do you, for example, when you go out and try to sell a sponsorship, do you actually know, do you get the information needed in order to sell it properly? Like, this is how many people are watching and stuff like that. Do you have, that's what I mean?
We get info from BWF, but I, for example, still did not get info for 26. So I can take numbers from 26 and go and sell that for next year. And I'm, of course, already starting that. So this is the moment that you go to sponsors for next year. So I don't have that info. And the info that we do get, it's quite nice in one way, because it gives like an overview for each sponsor, how much visibility they got on TV and stuff like that, and what it could be worth. But again, that worth is not the same over the entire world. It's not the same value that for a European firm than it has for like an Asian firm, in my opinion. And we do not really get actual numbers. We get household numbers, but that's not people. Like, you don't know like how many people. Of course, we can get it from YouTube, but what actually comes from the TV broadcasting is not 100% like an actual number that you can just post there.
Yeah, that's what has been, quite hard for me when I went out and tried to look for individual sponsorships and stuff like that, because it's very, very nice if you go out to a sponsor and say, hey, listen, I really want to have you on my game shirt. This is how many people are watching in the final of Super 1000 and stuff like that. If you have that information, you have the numbers, they can see, oh, wow, for this amount of eyeballs, it's a pretty good whatever. It's a good deal here and there, but it's impossible in badminton to get that amount of data because BWF sits on it. And of course they own the data, but again, in my point of view, we all have to play ball together, and then we will succeed at a way larger scale. A good example now you see in paddle, right? I've always been very interested in watches. Now Audemars Piguet and Rolex, for that matter, they're going into paddle now, And in my point of view, when big players like that who are they're in tennis, they're in golf, when they go into a sport like paddle, it shows that they're at least doing something on the commercial side of things, which is something we have to look at as a sport. It's a good indicator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways.
And then, so you've talked about TV as a cost. Can you give us a ballpark? So, for example, now you said that you have to do 5 days of TV. Is it on all courts or just one court?
Just one court for a 500.
How much does it cost per day? Ballpark figure?
25K.
25,000 euros a day, just for
day.
cost.
Yes.
Okay.
So of course they come with a big OB van. They come with all the cameras, all the people to man the cameras, and just working hours. Then we're talking about that.
Okay.
And yeah, as I said, 2 days or 5 days.
So that's 25% of your total budget already. Like if you're assuming we're assuming you're
my
working
budget
the
for
same
27
budget.
will be higher than 670,000 euros. So I haven't finalized it yet, of course, because we're still working on it very hard. Sadly, there's still no official contract out from BWF side for next cycle. So I don't have all the details yet, because the only thing we got was like some information during a World Tour host meeting. So normally BWF does this every year, and they inform the World Tour hosts of what is upcoming. So the last time we had that was in 2024 in China. During the World Tour finals. Then we had another meeting of those, and since then actually we didn't get any meeting anymore because they're hard preparing, of course, the new cycle. But that also means that since then I didn't get like really that much extra info, like some background information, but I don't have a contract. I don't have it stating exactly what I need to provide for my tournament next year.
Wow. Okay.
Yet.
And we're already we're in May. We're recording in May. This episode will go up before the end of May. And so wow. Okay. So and you're expecting to be in the same slot for next year anyway, correct? So
we are, of course, in talks, but nothing has been confirmed. So we have now planned to be in week 8. So that is end of February next year. That is, very short period of time that we still have to prepare everything. So of course we're not doing nothing. We are preparing like our new venue plan. From our side, of course, it's also a bit more difficult because everything changes for us. Going from a 300 to a 500, we really need to rethink everything again. So it's not that we can just rely on what we did in the past years. If you go from 4 to 3 courts, everything changes. Your lighting changes, what you need of equipment changes, your A-boards positions change. You need different amounts of carpet. So that's just some small things that we now need to figure out how we're going to do this.
And also, for example, I think people tend to forget, like, besides what you see in the hall when you enter, like the 3 courts in the middle, the number of seats and how spectators are aligned, because it's normally it's in a venue that has flexible seating. So for example, on certain days you can move seats out or add more seats and stuff like that. And people forget that all those need to be thought of and also managed in a safe way. I think like people coming in and out, like filtering them in, ticket scanning, making sure people pay for the tickets and ensure that people are in the right places at the right time. And in case anything happens in an emergency, they still need to be able to exit safely or guided to the exits safely. And then also anything that is rigged, top down, lights, cameras, everything, like all your vendors coming in, they have to follow the regulations that the venue set. And I'm assuming you're always in constant conversations with these people. And does everything need to go back to BWF for like, okay, final sign off, these are all the plans, get them approved, and then go build them?
The only thing that we went back to BWF at this point is the actual field of play plan. So the fact that we are doing the tournament on 3 courts and how it looks then, specifically where is court 1, 2, and 3, how much space is there in between the courts, is there enough space for cameras, is there enough space for A-boards. We need a double line of A-boards now on the back line for a 500 tournament, something also we didn't have before. So we need to make sure we have enough space for this, that those A-boards will also be in camera view in a decent way for the sponsors, that they get enough visibility. So they signed off on our new venue plan. So our venue plan is ready so that we can actually work further from this onwards to sell the sponsor positions and to see what kind of equipment we then need to change or need to install. Like the lights will now have to be arranged again completely differently. Where do we put the TV screens for the scoring? How do we do the cables for these TV screens? All of those kind of things we're now working on. But also that has an effect indeed on the spectator seats. So we have mobile tribunes, so on the sides that we can pull out if we need more space, or that we have to, that we can pull in or pull out depending on how much space we need. When we have 3 courts, we don't need as much space. So we are now planning to pull out all the tribunes so that we have more spectator seats. But then still you need to be sure 100% of this before you go out with your ticket sales, which we usually do in November already. And then you also need to think about, do we need to block any seats for BWF sponsors, for BWF tickets from our side for sponsor tickets, where maybe we will put a camera in the stands because we don't have a space anywhere else to put it. So those seats also need to be blocked. If we would sell those seats and then later onwards they're not available, yeah, we also get like crap.
Yeah. So
And
do you go,
Victor,
CK?
you go.
No, you go.
Okay, so I think just to clarify a little bit more for the viewers and the listeners, when you say double row of A-boards with the TV angle pointing down, I think it's I think anybody that's watching, say, the Malaysia Open or the All England or Super 1000s, you will see looking downwards your camera angle. On the court level, you will have the A-boards on the court, and then behind it, there's a second layer that is much higher. But I think these are played in event halls that are massive, whereas compared to the German Open, that means that second layer, the higher layer of A-boards is going to be blocking spectators. This is just thinking from the top of my head. Anybody that isn't clear what I'm talking about, please go and watch some of the streams from German Open, and you will immediately understand that fans are literally behind that court level A-board immediately. So now you have to block them because of the regulations, and then you have to find some place for them to go.
Those are indeed the things that we need to figure out before we go online with the ticket sales. So if we have to put the second line of A-boards there and they need to be 1.50 meters, we need to check how much this blocks. Do we need to cover the first row only, maybe 2 rows, the first 2 rows, because those people will either not see anything, or if they see anything, they have to like sit all the time like this so they can watch over the A-boards. So, but that's all things we need to figure out before we even can continue with anything else like ticket sales, or then blocking tickets for anything that we have of sponsors. So
or unless they're as tall as Viktor.
Yes,
Yeah, exactly.
We will make a small disclaimer. Only people who are 2 meters can buy these tickets.
Exactly. You should. Yeah.
So it's a lot of small things that you actually have to consider. That is not always easy because it's all related to each other. And if you want to be on time with everything, yeah, of course, you need to start early enough.
Yep. And then Viktor, going back to what you were going to say.
No, yeah, I'm just sitting and thinking with all the things and all the regulations you have to follow and stuff. It's hard to make money, isn't it? Like,
we are not making money.
No, I was just about to say.
I think
is
breaking even the goal every year. Breaking
even is our goal. So basically, but breaking even in a way that it also pays for the staff and the people. So my salary, for example, is part of the German Open budget.
Yeah,
because otherwise we can't do this stuff.
No, of course not.
But it's not that our company, although we are like a profit company, is making real money out of this. So basically the German Open makes sure that we can work a full year long. But that's about it. So, yeah, it's it's not about the money making in this part. It's about promoting the sport in Germany, having an opportunity for German players to perform in front of a home crowd, also having our technical officials of Germany being able to get that international experience, and in general, just like, as I said, make the badminton sport bigger, get spectators to be involved, volunteers involved, and it's all connected to each other, that it will be better for badminton in the end.
Yeah. We all owe you a big thank you, you and the team.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think every single tournament director and their teams as well, because I think
exactly.
like there's so many challenges, and I've only learned about this because of the last few years. I've been quite lucky to be able to work with people like Tamara and also Johnny, who was a tournament director before, and we talk about these challenges and how can we help solve these, like and each challenge is quite tournament specific. Like you have your set of challenges, and then say if you go to the say Denmark Open or the All England, the challenges, like the most crucial ones, would also be different. And I think I also want to add a little bit more perspective and angle to what Tamara said. So Tamara, you're the managing director of the company VBD that organizes and runs the tournaments. So from my understanding, the reason why it's a separate company is because tournaments are often loss-making. And often tournaments are hosted and organized by federations, and federations are technically not profit-making companies, then technically charities or national non-governing bodies, and so they're not supposed to be making it full profit and whatever. But because tournaments are often loss-making, it's to protect the accounts of the federations, because if one year, say like COVID, I was just going to go into COVID, what happens there with insurances? Because if your budget is 600,000, 670k euros, what happens that year? And then the federation not necessarily can absorb that in one go, and the federation might go bankrupt, and your federation's gone. And hence, there's a reason why it's completely separate for the regulations, financial regulations, to protect that. If a company goes down, at least the company goes down, but the federation isn't affected. We hope that never happens. But
I have to say, ZK, that this is a very unique situation that we have here in Germany, because in all other European countries, it is the federation doing this. So it is not an extra, like we are a daughter company, VBD, from the German Federation, that they indeed installed because of the fact that they don't want to take this risk of the federation having to pay a lot of money just because it didn't make a profit that year. It's not even about COVID. It's about any year where there is maybe some problem or something that happened, or a sponsor falls out or something. They don't want to take the risk that they are going bankrupt because of this one tournament that they want to host. So if it's a daughter company, if we go bankrupt, then we go bankrupt, but the federation still works. But this is very unique. I think it's in the only European country that has it like this. That it's not the federation who is actually the host of the tournament. I think it's a good situation that we are in, that it's the way that it was organized.
Risk managed.
Yeah, so I think it is something that maybe other federations should look into, but it's only feasible if you then have enough, as I said, enough events or enough to do to have this kind of company exist. Then it makes worth doing this kind of setup.
I think because a lot of federations, their major events team probably have enough stuff to do, because obviously you also organize a lot of the national events around the country, including the juniors. I'm assuming a lot of federations, they have their major events team probably have the same amount of responsibilities. And hence, I think that extra layer of risk management is, from my position, I think it's a very smart move. Because, for example, what insurances? How do you cope with that?
For 26, I had 4 different insurances from 4 different companies, costing me in total 15 to 17k. Most of them are all based on what is required from BWF to have as an insurance. So BWF has, again, in their contracts, in their regulations, what we have to have of a minimum insured amount of money, for example, for the tournament, and saying what kind of insurances we have to have. But on top of that, we always do some extra insurances, for example, for the people that are working for us, for the volunteers that we have, which is not a regulation from BWF, but I think it's a given that we need to have that. So it's, for example, our social media team, they come in with usually quite a lot of expensive equipment. It's their own equipment. It costs a lot of money. If something breaks or something gets stolen or lost, we have an insurance that covers that, just in case. And it's not a mandatory thing to have, but it's an important thing to have, because I don't want to lose someone who then next year will not come anymore because they lost their camera or it was stolen, and it's too much money to put on the line.
Yeah. And like I think it's the little things that people don't think about. From our side, like our company, we have insurances going out because that's super important, and also liability insurance. So like events liability insurance. So for example, like you see a lot of the members of staff or anybody, say use the social media team running around. If one of us crashes into the A boards, it tips over during a live event, and then the A boards don't work. Who's going to pay for that? So these are the insurances that even as suppliers and vendors, you have to think about that, because, or imagine like the big screen. Somebody touches the big screen somehow and the screen falls down. I mean, this is quite scary imaginations, but big screen falls down. What happens then?
Yeah, but again, also from my personal perspective, I've always been well insured in every regard. It's when shit hits the fan, and when it really happens, that thing that you didn't expect to happen, that's where you need it,
Yeah, but I think a lot of people don't realize that has to be budgeted in as a factor of cost. Yeah, exactly. People don't realize that, and it's quite scary, because I think you just thinking about it, like if someone trips, they break their teeth, they decide to sue you. What happens? Yeah,
So it's everything. It's also we are mainly also concerned about anything that gets damaged or stolen. So let's say that suddenly there's a leak in the venue and all the equipment, all the court mats or the TVs or something gets broken because of something that happened in the venue. Again, as an organizer, you have really no influence on whether this happens or not usually, but you will be held responsible because it's your tournament and it's their equipment that is now broken because of something that happened. So you need to have this kind of stuff insured for sure. The thing is that also, for example, insurance companies often are open for sort of sponsoring deal. Because for them, it's just income. If nothing happens, they make money out of it. Of course they do. But the problem is we are not allowed to get them into a sponsoring deal most of the time because it's a category that BWF owns. Because they see it as the financial sector. Rather than like only insurances on its own. So also there, I'm sometimes wondering, like, would it not make more sense that we get that category, because we have to deal with all the insurances part anyway on a local matter, and
or maybe they just take care of the insurances. Going back to again taking care of the people who's working on their events.
Yeah,
but anyways.
I mean, I'm not sure how easy that is to do, because I'm assuming that there's different laws and different things that needs to be taken care of in different countries.
Yes.
So sometimes I also see like, okay, it's not always easy to take over stuff, but they are not making it easier by then taking that category away, that we cannot also get sponsoring in this category.
Okay, so I think just to roll back a little bit. So in terms of sponsoring, in terms of sponsors that you can get access to. So for example, I'm assuming there's a list of categories that you're allowed to approach sponsors for, and then there's also a list where these categories are blocked off for BWF. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what categories are open to you, and what categories are not open to you?
Well, luckily, what we, of course, can get as a sponsor is sport equipment. So we can get Yonex or any other badminton brand in as a main sponsor. And that is for us also very important. But on the other hand, so you know that the last cycle was all about HSBC. So that is a bank, it's a financial sector, which blocks that entire category for, like, we cannot get any sponsoring in from banks or insurances in this case, or anything else that has to do with the financial sector. In Germany, that is quite bad, because honestly, you can always get a bank in as a sponsor. The banks are quite open for sponsoring offers. So that means that money cannot be brought in just because it's a blocked category. Also, another block category is betting. So BWF has the betting category for them, and in general, I mean, I'm not sure I would get a betting partner. I, of course, haven't tried because I'm not allowed to. But it also blocks the national lottery category from our side, because that's also part of betting. And honestly, the West Lotto, the national lottery that we have here, is also, again, a company that really wants to sponsor if they can and if they're allowed to. But if we're not allowed to do that because we can't give them visibility because of the category being part of the BWF sponsoring categories, then we can't get that money in. Airlines is another one. It would be easy to get an airline in or something with that related to it, but it's also a category that BWF has. Digital life is also BWF's category. And digital life goes very, very broad from of course, everything Samsung or those kind of companies related. But honestly, we also need to request if we can have our printers, the actual printers that we have at the tournament for the social media team or for the press center, the office that we have of the tournament. We usually can get those also sponsored from a company that just says, okay, we will provide you with the printers. You can do free copies and all of that. We will install everything for you. It's again a cost. It might not be the biggest one, but we're talking about a few K that we would at least pay if we have to deliver this all by ourselves. But that is part of digital life. For some reason, I'm not sure how printing can be part of digital life, but it is. And luckily, it's something that they have confirmed that we can do anyway, because they will not get printers as a company from their side out. But it's something that needs to be requested. And then there's also this uncertainty, like, should we even continue trying because if then they say yes and we ask BWF and they say no, then we have wasted a lot of time.
Wow. Okay.
There's a lot to talk about more. We need to have you on again tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, because I think that the next thing would be like, maybe Viktor, we can get your company to sponsor some of these events in the future.
Yeah, let's see. That would be great if I get to that point.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do have to say again, like I also know BWF needs to pay this prize money now next year, in the next 4 years. They also need to get the money in from somewhere, and it's for a lot of tournaments.
Of course.
So I'm also not saying that they shouldn't be getting anything or that we should be getting everything as a host. Of course not. It's just that it should be discussed sometimes, maybe a little bit more in advance. What is the options or what we can do,
sure.
And maybe also have a little bit more flexibility over the different tournaments and the different continents that we have.
Yeah, definitely.
Because as I said, it's a lot easier, I think, in Asia sometimes to find sponsors or to find the funding compared to Europe. And the costs are also different. So why is there no difference also in how they are treated at tournaments? I'm getting that it's maybe also not always fair if one tournament gets more than the other, but it also needs to be a world tour, meaning it cannot just be tournaments in Asia and then a few in Europe and maybe one or two somewhere else in the world. Like, why is it not more divided? And that's because it's impossible to host these kind of things in other regions because of the costs.
Of course, yeah. Anyways, I really need to jump off now. But it was very, very nice to speak with you, Tamara. Really, it's one of my favorite episodes, actually.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So got
we
so much.
We will need you to come back.
Yeah, for sure.
We will need you to come back. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and please send my regards to your team as well.
I will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Of course.
And maybe talk to you soon then again.
Of course.
Yeah. And I think tomorrow, I think we can stay on for maybe a few more minutes as we round out the episode. And then
see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Viktor. Thank you.
See you, CK.
Thank you. Ciao. I think from just thinking about what we've discussed, I think we're almost an hour in, so we will keep you for 2 more minutes before trying to kind of round the whole thing off, because I think people just don't realize how complex it is to organize and host a tournament at this level. I think as fans, we take it for granted. Like, okay, like we're currently in the Asian, what's it called? The Asian block again. Like you have Thailand Open, Malaysian Masters, Singapore Open, Indonesia Open, and then I think you go to Australia Open. I think fans do not understand what tournament directors and tournament organizers go through to hold these events, because it's just on YouTube. We can just watch it anytime we want in some way, and we take it for granted. And then the conversations we just had 1 hour here, it doesn't even paint 1% of the full picture that you go through on a daily, weekly basis. And I think, yeah, I have to echo what Viktor says. Like, we need more appreciation for you guys, like for tournament directors and stuff like that. I mean, I'm in quite a privileged position. I get to speak to quite a few of you and actually understand what kind of challenges that you go through. And hence it was super important to have you on to actually describe some of the challenges in more detail that you go through on a day-to-day basis.
Well, I feel very privileged that you asked me, because, yes, I've been doing this for quite some years, but there's so many other tournament organizers who are also doing an amazing job in their yearly tournaments, or even like multiple tournaments per year.
Yes.
So I'm just one of them, and they're all doing a great job, because otherwise those tournaments would not look so nicely on YouTube as you can see them as a fan. So I do think it's a very hard job sometimes, and it requires a lot of time investment to do it well, especially during that week, because I can also tell you don't sleep much that week, because
No.
it's quite ongoing then. But from my side, I mean, this is a personal opinion, it is one of the best jobs in the world to have, because it is so much fun for me to organize such a tournament, and to spend my week there. Yes, I am away from my family, and it is very tough, and I don't get sleep, and it's stressful. Of course it is. But you get to engage with those 800 people that we talked about earlier. Not just the helpers and the volunteers, also those players like Viktor, like all those top badminton players. And it's very rewarding too, to see then what you do in the end and how it looks, and that the people are indeed happy, and that the spectators had a great experience. And of course you will always get complaints from all kinds of sides. You just take them with you, and you do something hopefully with them for next year if they are valid. But it is, for me, really one of the best jobs that you can do ever. So I'm not saying it's for everybody, or that everybody should start doing it, but it is, for me, the thing to do, and I will do it hopefully for still a long time.
It's not an easy job. Like, I think obviously I have had first-hand experiences of watching you handle and smash it out the park. You make it look very, very easy. As do a lot of other tournament directors. But like you said, it's not for everybody, because everybody will want a piece of you. The 800 people will want a piece of you that week, well, maybe 2 weeks before, and then 1 week after. So yeah. So the 800 people will want some of your time throughout that week, and then you have to also go and make sure that the sponsors are all happy and they want to come back next year, or stuff like that. And then the last question that I have is, obviously I see a lot of other tournament organizers and hosts always visiting other tournaments, because, for example, like this year you managed to also visit the All England finally.
Yes,
Yeah.
finally.
And so I'm assuming tournament directors, they share a lot of information with each other, like especially if you're based in Europe, like, like, say, I've seen, I believe, the Swiss Open tournament director, French Open tournament director, All England tournament director being present. So I'm assuming everybody shares a lot of information, and also like challenges of what they go through, and kind of how do they come through some of these challenges. Is there like a WhatsApp group?
No, maybe we should now. Now I'm thinking about it. No, of course, as I said, we have these World Tour host meetings that BWF hosts anyway, but that's over all of them. So also the Asian ones are there. But within Europe, I would say that we're also quite closely connected, all of us, because indeed you are facing with the same problems usually, or have questions that maybe someone else already figured an answer to. So yeah, we are in close contact. I wouldn't say that we just share everything, because finances is always something that we kind of keep a bit in the dark. I also understand why, but for sure, I mean, I am non-stop in contact if I have any questions with any of the other organizers here in Europe. We also try to invite each other to each other tournaments. Also, the reason why I went to All England this year, because Chris Miller, the tournament director, invited me. It was honestly my holiday right after German Open. And yeah, if I'm going on a badminton tournament as a holiday, I think that also speaks for itself how invested I am maybe a bit in this whole organizing a tournament part.
Yeah.
But I mean, who doesn't want to watch the All England if you're in the badminton world? So
And there's fire.
yeah, there's fire. So next year, German Open.
Stay tuned.
We need fire.
Get your tickets right now. Stay tuned.
Not yet.
Yeah, follow the social media. When tickets go on general sale, you will be able to buy your tickets then.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I think from my side, I mean, there's a lot of notes that we haven't really discussed, but like Viktor said, we probably need you back for another episode somewhere down the line, and hopefully potentially we could get another tournament director in, and we can continue those conversations as well, because I think we really want to show the viewers and the fans and in general the sports fans, like the badminton fans, like how challenging are these things. And then also an opportunity to be part of the sport, not just via playing. I think a lot of youngsters, they only think that the only way to become a professional is to be a player or a coach, but actually not necessarily. There's a lot of routes in that you can actually do this as a job, do this professionally, and then do it well and make the sport a better place as well. So I think this is one way that we can showcase all that.
Absolutely. No. I am definitely not the player person, so don't put me in that one. But yeah, doing the tournaments, being a technical official, also an option. There's a lot of ways that you can invest your time in badminton if you love the sport.
100%. And Tamara, thank you ever so much again. I think I'm aware that today is a public holiday, and also you're organizing a birthday party, a slightly different type of party.
Also a major event, honestly. Lots of stress and very difficult clients. A 5-year-old is very, very easy to complain about everything that is organized.
Wow. And I think on that note, we shall let you go. Thank you ever so much again. And we will see you very, very soon. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, okay.
Have a good weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
But Tamara, now that you're wearing a Yonex shirt, with the amount of viewers we have on this podcast, that sponsorship will be a done deal.
Very good. I will take this with me in my next negotiation.
Yes, please do that.
Clip this 30 seconds bit and then put your face on at the front as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
Absolutely.
But I think, German Open, like for how many years have Yonex been the title sponsor for that? Even though my collection, when it first launched, I still played in the German Open for the 1 week ahead of All England. So I think for Yonex, it's also an important tournament in many regards.
We are quite lucky with that we have Yonex as the main sponsor for the German Open, who signs a contract for 4 years. But right now, for example, I am in discussion with Yonex to see what we can do for the next 4 years.